Noob School. All right, welcome back to Noob School, episode 152. And the funny thing about today is I've got Scott Millwood with me, of course, and we have these marketing folks, real fine folks. They did some research on Scott and gave me like 4 pages of things to ask him. I forgot to tell the marketing folks that I've known Scott since 1988. Oof. I think.
Oof, yeah, at least.
Roughly.
Yeah, probably it.
And so we can probably think of some things to talk about.
Yeah. Let's don't talk about the old days.
Well, the old days were, I was running a very small inside sales team and having some success and thought I was really smart. And you came along and said, well, what are you doing for the larger sales? And I was like, what larger sales? I mean, you'd had this experience selling enterprise deals, and I had not even seen it before. And so, we put the peanut butter and the chocolate
butter and jelly,
together,
right? It worked, right?
And the rest is history. But Scott really helped us figure out how to sell bigger deals. And heck, by the end of our association, we're selling 10, 20, $25 million deals.
Yeah.
So good job.
Hey, right. Got to mention in the book.
That's right. That's right. So, so Scott and I worked together. At first company was Datastream. It's a long time ago. But since then, Scott's gone on. He's not a one-hit wonder. He just gets hit after hit. And his biggest success came soon after Datastream. He started Customer Effective, which, as I recall, was a Microsoft CRM kind of customization company.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Took the experience of building out CRM inside Datastream, and Microsoft was coming to market with a product, and we were shopping Datastream around at the time.
Right.
Like, I'm going to set up my next thing to go do something I knew something about, which was automating sales and service and marketing.
That's such a great soundbite here, because you already knew sales and marketing. You'd already had that experience. And then I think the company asked you, or you asked the company, could you help figure out how to get this all sorted out for the company, what CRM to go? And so all that research led you to think this is something that could be its own company.
Right.
And you knew how to do it.
Knew how to do it, right? And didn't need to go raise capital to do it, because it was, started out as
just
basically
like a distributor,
resell for Microsoft, and then add consulting services on top, which was kind of a low capital way to get into a business. And importantly, by not having to raise capital, we had it with earnings per share and analyst calls and public, and that was great experience. But I didn't want to sign up for more of that level of scrutiny and
the investor questions.
Right.
Jeez.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Well, and you had Michael Elliott, one of your longtime friends, with you, and then after we sold the company, a whole lot of our talent was available, and you picked off some great people.
Yeah, just going back to the core, people that you trust, people that you know. And, I got phone calls, and then, it's inevitable after a company's acquired. There's a little bit of like looking around for what's next. Right. And we happened to be kind of catching a little bit of traction, and it was working.
Yeah.
And, I think we probably had at least a dozen, data streamers that came on before we kind of perfected the model and knew what we were looking for, elsewhere in the country.
Right. Well, given that was, 15 years ago?
Yeah. We sold in 2014 to Hitachi.
If you were doing that now with today's technology and with AI, what if anything, would you do different?
Man, it's a fruit basket turnover. I would say, from a classic software reseller kind of model, there's still opportunities out there, but they're not as clear cut as they were. Back in the day of software resale, you could find numerous companies that were looking for a channel, and they would pay healthy margins. It was 30, 40 points on software resale. You could make a living on that alone. Didn't really even need the consulting. Now, most software and technology, they've got a direct-to-consumer ability, and so they've slimmed that margin down and down and down and down, and you really got to be good at selling the value add consulting side of things,
Right.
right? And that's probably how we differentiated ourselves versus just being a software resale shop
Right,
at Customer Effective. Was we took a consulting approach that was more well defined, that you would typically find at the upper mid market, and we took it sort of down market, more of a professional approach, but the people in the mid and lower market had never seen that before, so they appreciated that, that approach. I think that would still be consistent. If I were doing anything right now, I would probably look at, how do you go out and help people take AI from this sort of, nebulous concept. It's can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people, and apply it. What do? You don't have to invent the algorithm to be able to take that and apply it. And that same consulting methodology and focus on listening to the customer, understanding the problem, and figuring out a way to solve that problem. You can do that today in spades because there's so much fear and confusion in the market.
So kind of an AI consulting shop.
Right.
Okay. Consulting is not a good word, but
right.
I've thought about that. Not that I'm like the best person to do that kind of work, but it's just like it's a gold mine. I mean, every single company wants to use AI to improve their earnings, and most of them don't know how to do it.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sitting in the smart people.
It's guidance, right? The same thing you do with sales consulting, same thing I do with operations consulting, and same thing we do with advisement on the the funds or the portfolio companies in the fund. Is you're just trying to figure out what can you do to make it just a little bit better. Just we were talking about earlier. You don't have to turn it into an A+. You just got to get it from a C- to a B-, and you've moved the needle.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, when I was a kid and I would read like Inc. magazine and Fortune and all that stuff, my sights were set on Steve Jobs and these unbelievable and that's not. I mean, I get it, maybe, okay, but how about just set it right here?
Right.
Get here first.
Get there first.
And once you get like 3/4 up the ladder, then look up there and see what that would look like.
Right.
Because that's a better goal.
It's a better goal.
Yeah.
I mean, not to jump too far ahead, but it's part of our Founderville.vc Fund 1 is to just take these companies that are local to Greenville, that have a good idea, that have struggled to go out and get backing, and to take them from $100K in recurring revenue annually to $1 million.
Yes.
It's
changes the game.
Over a couple of years, if you do that, it's a game changer, and you've demonstrated clear, growth on that, obviously. But you haven't said to them, hey, you got a $100K ARR company today, and we're going to be doing $100 million, and you're going to be worth $1 billion. That's the VC mindset that you find all over the country, particularly West Coast. And
it's either that or nothing.
It's either not just home run. It is moonshot, and that's not. We just don't think that's for everybody, right? I mean, a good solid hit is we got you from $100K to $1 million in recurring. Your value as an organization for your investors and for you went from, say, $2 million to $10 million?
Or maybe nothing to $10 million.
Nothing to $10 million, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic hit.
Yes.
And for us as a fund, wow, that's a knocking the cover off the ball.
Interesting, just another, if we're going to go side note, but you just said $1 million to $1 million in recurring revenue to $10 million in enterprise value. So that's 10-to-1 ratio, which is fairly normal for these higher growing, interesting companies. One of the things that happened to us as soon as I think we worked together maybe for 10 years as a private company, and then we went public, and so immediately we had a stock price, and we knew how many shares of stock we had, and so we knew what our value was, and we also knew how that price was driven.
Yes.
It was driven by earnings per share. It was going to be, 10 times earnings? Or I can't remember what the number was now. And so we all kind of had this thing to gather around. Let's get this thing up. Let's drive it up. Let's get his EPS up and so on. So that'll be worth 20, And I guess for what you're doing now, that's an important lesson to them, is to say, this year, if you try to sell your 100,000 a year company, you probably get nothing for it.
Right.
But when you get to $1 million, it's worth 10.
Here's something you got.
$2 million, it's probably worth 25.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is, in the small market, and particularly where we are, and Fund to Win thesis is Greenville founders investing in Greenville founders. There's a little bit of a difference in that valuation, that sometimes you get guys that are reading too much. They're reading all the trade press about valuations, and they think, I got $1 million in recurring revenue, I'm a $25 million company. And it just doesn't hold water, right? So in our Southeast and in our little sub to that, the ratios are probably more like a 5x on revenue and recurring, depending on the growth rate. But if you've got, as we do in a couple of our portfolio companies now, a couple 100% growth year over year, where they're going from a starting zero to $1 million over the course of a couple of years, boom, you got it.
Yeah.
That obviously tails off a little bit as they get bigger and bigger and bigger. But if you're doing $1 million and you're going $1 million to $3 million in a year, okay, now you're talking about a 7, 8, 9, 10x multiple on that. Yeah.
As long as they're going someplace, they
Right.
see where they're going, and it's not all or nothing. But let's back up a little bit, because I want to talk so very successful Datastream exit, very successful customer effective exit as the co-founder. And then you went to YesFlow, and you started another company called YesFlow, which, you were located right across from where I live. So you used to let me use your conference room, which I appreciated. But my recollection was, again, this was back to something to do with the CRM and sales, and it was using technology to solve the problem. If I got this right, the salespeople won't update the CRM.
Right.
Because they're too busy or lazy or whatever. And so this was a way to make it easier for them to do that, or even force them to do it. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, we were scratching on AI in 2017. We were scratching on AI.
You were the right guy to do this. It was the right thing to do. It wasn't quite the right time.
So early,
Yeah.
right? So we're scratching on it in 2018. And, the world is coming at everything from an app standpoint, right? And our known problem from years of implementing CRM for enterprise systems and using it ourselves at both Customer Effective as well as Datastream is people don't really like to update things.
Right.
I mean, salespeople are busy. They want to make calls. They want to talk to customers, go to meetings. They really don't want to update, something that's cumbersome. So the goal was, let's make that super easy so you can talk to your watch, you can talk to your phone. We got all that working, and it was all pipelined into back end Microsoft Cloud, Azure AI, natural language understanding, automated speech recognition. All those models working well, and we got it in place with enterprise customers, right? Nucor, Blue Cross Blue Shield. So all that sounds like it's clicking, and they were paying us. So $1 million in revenue, right? We're clicking along pretty good. Fast forward into about 2021, and you start to see that the actual technology that we're built on, Microsoft's backend and Azure, a little long in the tooth, hard to work, really, really cumbersome for our developers to make those prompts work. And we were using that language of prompting in 2020, 2021. As ways to think about how to interact with the technology, to go grab the back end information, display it, update it, push it back in. It's just brittle. It just wasn't as good. So put a pause on that for a second. ChatGPT is coming along. Bill Gates is meeting with Sam Altman. He's an early investor in OpenAI. He's having all these conversations. And Gates is having these epiphany wow moments. And this is a guy that has seen his share of stuff, right? He is seeing technology come along that, in his words, blows his mind that it can happen. And it's moving so fast.
Yeah.
So in about mid-22, we're hearing what this is. Yeah. And when it released in 22, and we got a good look at ChatGPT, it was like, everything we got on the back end is not going to work like that is. That is going to go to the moon, right? And luckily we had an out with Hitachi, and we sold all that technology into Hitachi, and essentially cleared pretty well to take something that's AI early stage that wasn't built on the LLM and go, all right, you guys figure it out from here. We're going to go do some other stuff.
Yeah. Well, good for you, man. I mean, getting to $1 million. I mean, I loved the idea. You know that, but I remember, I'll be the oldest guy in the room, but there's the show called Get Smart, a long, long time ago, and one of his things was he had the telephone in the shoe.
Right.
And anyway, I just love the idea. If I'm a rep, and I've got my Apple Watch on, and it knows, it's synced up with my CRM, and it knows that I just had a meeting with Scott Millwood, and I have not updated the thing, and it's been 30 minutes.
Yeah.
He goes, beep, 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 up, John, what's the update? And I talk to it.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, it's...
and so it's happening now. I mean, the crazy thing is you're now, with GPT-4, you're talking to your chat GPT. You're talking to it, right? And it responds back with a voice.
I know.
It's so hard
Any
to
voice
do
you
that.
want,
It
too.
is so hard for that to happen.
So, but are they doing it with the CRM? I mean, are they talking to the CRM that way?
It will be there.
Okay.
And that's probably one of those
You say,
interesting
connect
things.
this to my CRM, and it'll do it. Yeah.
That private data pool being connected to, kind of public LLM, those connectors are being aggressively pursued. And there's lots of companies out there that are kind of making that happen. But, there's an interesting thing in kind of all up AI adoption, I guess, at the enterprise is there's a lot of fear of security. There's a lot of fear about the data getting loose, right? What happens to our customer data? What happens to our proprietary information about customers? What happens to our product data if it gets out in the wild? All that's, still big fear. And I think what's going to happen over the course of the next couple of years is people are going to start to see that embracing it and connecting it can be done safely, can be done through federated identification and that sort of thing, and it'll become more reality. But enterprises, as you know, they're slow to adopt, they're slow to change. I saw something the other day from an MIT study saying that 97% of all AI projects at the enterprise level are failures. Well, yeah, it's like the first inning. They're just experimenting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to guess 2 years from now, you're going to start to see that go to 50% are successful.
Yeah.
And then those who are behind are going to be so far behind that they may never catch up. And that's the kind of transformative change at the enterprise.
Yeah. This is the early adopter phase. And you think about back in our market of maintenance, when people were going from nothing to a computerized system, they would say things like, we need our guys out there fixing things, not on the computer all day. And what are they going to be doing on that computer?
Right.
I mean, those kind of things. And now, of course, you can't not have a system to track everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, what a great experience, and I'm glad it ended up with a sale.
And probably the biggest thing that came out of it is an awareness of the big transformational change from deterministic systems where in kind of AI land it's all probabilistic, right? And deterministic is if then else, and probabilistic is if then maybe likely, right? Huge change, but just to know that early on has helped me to evaluate lots of personal investment options. NVIDIA, the list goes on of things you kind of go, yes, they're on that tidal wave that's coming, but also even at the fund level of understanding which of these ventures are going to get wiped out and which of these ventures are either insulated from the change to a degree that they're not going to be impacted tremendously, and which of these ventures like a chip.ai are going to ride it. And can they ride it successfully as something other than just an LLM wrapper, right? Just a prompt tool. Can they do something more than that?
Right. Yeah, you mentioned one of your investments is chip.ai. Is that right?
Yeah.
So when I was doing on my website, it's called the Sales Professor, but my avatar.
I love that. I love it.
I had been trying for 4 years to figure out a way
remember you
to
talking
have
about
my
it.
avatar And you could ask me questions, and I would answer anything I knew about sales. And that was, and we tried all these people. People will quote me like 150 grand to do it and all this stuff. And I almost did it one time. Like, damn it, I'm going to do this. And I went through 4 different developers, and I finally found one, David Berry, who just graduated from Peter Barsh Code School.
Yeah.
He's like 27 years old.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, okay, I can, hold on, let me look around and see what I can find. And he found Chip.ai, and he found one other thing called HeyGen, I think.
Yeah.
Put them together, and sure enough, now we've got, it works. And it was not expensive.
Yeah.
I think it took him 2 hours.
Right.
It was $150 down the drain. Anyway, but it's just amazing. That guy with Chip.ai, and the funny thing was that, we found this technology after searching the internet, and the guy's in Greenville.
In Greenville, right.
He's one of your investments.
Yeah.
That's
We're excited about those guys.
What do they do?
Hunter and Scott are Hunter's in Greenville. He's got his development team here. Scott's up in Fargo, and they sort of backed into this market of recognizing that there are a lot of people out there. Your example is perfect. You want to be able to provide a service to your customers, right? To your prospects, to say, interact with me this way through a chatbot, right? To most people saying, how do I do a chatbot? How do I build a chatbot? How will it be unique to me? How can I give it a personality? How can I have the prompts that make sense for my domain?
Yeah.
So what Chip.ai does is they source to all of the LLMs, but they have this built-in library of prompts that they can tune for specific vertical domains or just domains in general, and they sell through a channel of people like your guy that said, oh, I found this, I'll build it for my customer. So that's kind of one of their unique things is they're working through consultants, they're working through marketing agencies, they're working through system integrators who want to build chatbots quickly and easily for their customers. Yeah, unique model there. We like it. They're growing great. Just had a big customer conference up in Fargo and got 50 of their big reseller customers come in. So that's always a good sign. That's
amazing. Well, they were very nice to deal with and, reasonably priced, and the thing worked. I was like, damn, this is great.
Yeah.
In Greenville.
Yeah.
Well, that takes us to the present, and you're doing, as I understand it, you're doing 2 things. And let's start with the consulting first. But, you have a longtime friend who's got a great facial recognition software company for police departments and
agencies.
Yeah. He's had for a long time.
Right. Yeah. 20 plus years of growing this company, locally here in Greenville, kind of a steady grower.
Yeah.
Good margin producer.
Yeah.
And I do a little consulting work there, really as kind of fractional COO.
Yeah.
And I like doing that work because it's it sort of keeps me grounded in the day-to-day operations of a software and technology company, which is fraught with customer problems and employee problems, and a way to apply AI, right? Taking that facial recognition, fingerprint identification, putting it into a structured database, and getting it out into these agencies. DataWorks got 3,500 plus police agencies across the country. So if you're booking in New York or LA or Miami, it's on that software. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
And I like the day-to-day grind. I like the work. I like coming in. I like working with a team of people and helping them do better. And
how much time do you spend there a week? Or working on it
probably half my time.
20 hours a week, 30 hours a week?
At least, right? I mean, it's I'm probably like you. I'm always on my phone in the morning. I'm working. It's a constant kind of thing.
Well, you probably are too smart, but I tried to retire one time, and
I tried that.
It does not take long to turn into a pile of goo, man. Your brain stops working.
No, it wasn't for me. It's it was a good. You probably had the same experience of. It's good to sample it. It's good to have the opportunity to be able to make that choice and say, I think I'll try this path, and if this works, I'm going to stay with it, and financially, I'll be good to go.
Yeah.
What was great is that I was able to do that while my kids were still in high school, so I got to spend a lot of time, family time, which maybe I'd shortchange that.
Maybe
growing a company, nights on the road, and. That sort of thing.
4 weeks in Europe.
We figure out pretty quick, it's like, well, this is an interesting time. Your gears move in a different way when you're in retirement mode.
Yeah.
But I didn't love the disengagement from, this phenomenal
business.
world of technology and business and how fast it moves and the interaction, the engagement. I love that. I love it.
Yeah, I do too.
It took me that time, though.
I do too.
To figure that out, but I do love that.
Yeah, I agree, and it keeps you, particularly in the technology area, since it's changing so quickly. I think if we were like, if it was something like storage facilities or something, of course we could enjoy that, but I mean it's just much slower.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you're doing that consulting, and is there anything? I know you've been doing it for a little while. Is there anything you can disclose that you've done that's really been helpful and changed the business?
I mean, from back to CRM land. We really kind of gut automated every process in the company. We did a classic, snapshot of as is and built a to be. Here's what we want to try to accomplish. Here's what we think it can drive. A lot of that was building in resilience so that the repeatable processes would be more trusted. Management team was kind of at each other's throats a lot because of lack of understanding of their priorities, what's important, what should they be working on, who's got the ball on certain jobs and execution. We just put all that into a platform, automated it, luckily using Microsoft CRM and that whole Dynamics platform. And I leveraged my old customer effective gurus on a consulting basis to help me build that out.
Good job.
And today we've got, in flight right now, 250 projects, and roughly what we call work items are chunks of smaller work inside those. About 1,800 of those kind of flying in the, in flight throughout the company, connected to support, connected to accounting. So really the 360 degree, that's been fun because you take a vision of let's automate the 360 degree view of the customer and touch every part of the company and make that fly. It's not cheap to do it. It's a big investment. And, part of that is you invest for the long haul, building that resilience. That's been great fun. Just tremendous, kind of applying the technology. And within that, John, applying AI. So just recently, we've applied some AI to take documents that are given to customers for maintenance agreements, suck them through through ChatGPT, Copilot, Microsoft's version, suck it into Copilot, read that document, and compare it to what assets we actually have on that customer in the actual database. And where there's a discrepancy on that, highlight that, and go ahead and create the asset provisionally to say, let's make these things match up. So again, we got the right 360-degree view. So and playing around with that AI with my old team, applying that, great fun. Just really, really fun.
And then so that's kind of how the business operates. And it sounds to me like, I don't know your business, but I've seen plenty of them. And if you don't get these systems in place, you just get to a point where you can't handle it. Just kind of having the morning meeting and saying, how's it going over in Utah? You got to. So what about the salespeople? How's that going?
So, I think that's...
Just curious.
Absolutely. It's an interesting group because they're all 20 plus years in this domain of selling these types of systems into law enforcement agencies. It's a big referral network, right? It's built on, did you do a good job last time? Okay, you get to participate in the RFP this time. Very RFP driven, which is unique because our world never was
Trash
really.
Can.
You get a little bit of that, but it was 10% of the business at most, and we hated them. In this world, it's 90% of the business. So you're constantly winning that business again on these big RFPs. There's some need there to refresh that group, and I mean that by there's just got to be new blood. These guys are, they're our age, and they've been selling in this market for years. They know everybody, but eventually they're going to do what you and I do. They're going to move on, right? So you got to refresh. That's probably the biggest challenge there is how do you go get somebody that's in their 20s or 30s and get them positioned into that to be there for the next 20 years.
Well, I'm sure you'll figure it out. Not worried about that.
I don't need that, or I'll just retire. And move on, you know. I'm not sure if I got to.
I'll meet you at the
I don't
club
have to
and get some balls.
We'll get some soup.
Yeah,
we'll get some soup.
Yeah. So that leads us to what you're really doing now, which is Founderville.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool. I mean, you and Shay Hauser have, my understanding is that it is about raising money from successful founders in our area to be used to help stake current founders or new founders in our area.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then also provide some mentoring and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those classic see a problem, and as an entrepreneur, you can't help yourself but jump in and start to try to fix it.
Yeah.
And having the wherewithal to know, well, what needs to be done here is pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Like, well, instead of everybody running around Greenville as a budding entrepreneur with cup in hand, raising 20K here or 40K here, and getting all kinds of misguided information about what they should do next.
They're going to listen. They're going to listen to whoever gave them the 25K.
Right. For they're going to listen to them for a week until they find the next 25K. The next 25K. Right? And then everybody who's done that, and you've done it, I've done it.
Yeah.
Is you write these checks and a year, 2, 3 years later, you're like, I can't remember. Did I put some money in that or not? It's just kind of a bad model.
Yeah.
So really what we did at the behest of Bo Russell was we took this idea of an investing club, which was, hey, let's all band together and put some money in X together, right?
Yeah.
Bo said, you guys are silly. Just raise a micro fund and put it all together, under a fund structure, which we did. Founderville Fund 1, 6.8 million from 45 LPs, all local, and it's working. Greenville investors, Greenville founders investing in the next generation of Greenville founders, and it's today 9 companies. We've deployed almost all the capital, and we've got 3 or 4 really great growers. We got a couple that are sort of good growers, and then we got a couple that are like, all right, well, this is a struggle, and is there a market there? We're at such an early stage with these investor or these founders that the first thing they really got to hit on is, do they have good product market fit? And Shay and I are reasonably good at assessing what they need to get that first bit of traction on product market fit.
Right. Well, I think it's an amazing idea. And you said if you have 45 founders, you call them LP limited partners. You and Shay are the first 2,
the GPs,
right? Y'all came in and signed big checks to get in there. So you're part of the deal, and then. I think it sounds like it's going well. If you have a couple of them that are doing real well, that's awesome. And you're starting or about to start Fund 2, is that right?
That's the goal, right?
Okay.
So this, a tight thesis of Greenville on Greenville. Yeah. A lot of people are like, is there going to be deal flow? Can you find any winners in there? Are these all going to be 10% year-over-year growers? And, to a large degree, we weren't sure. You don't know until you get out there in the mud and start swimming around. We had a few that we thought might fit, but we've probably looked at, in just Greenville, 100+ ventures, and landed on these 9. We think this same model is applicable to the whole state, and so I'm not interested in chasing down Atlanta ventures or Research Triangle Park ventures. But in Charleston and in Columbia and in Anderson and Spartanburg, they exist. Just like Greenville, they exist. They're there. There are smart, young, aggressive founders with things going on. They just kind of go lacking. They go hungry in a lot of ways.
I've noticed because I've purchased a few smaller, older tech companies, and particularly and not in big towns, and it's almost like they don't have enough people to talk to even see what the possibilities are.
Right.
And I think that's one of the great things about clustering them into Founderville, one way or another. And I know there's plenty going on in Charleston. Larry, your father-in-law, I think he had a nice victory in Columbia.
Right, he did, absolutely, yeah.
He told me about
Huntstand, great hit, out of Columbia. I mean, that's a nice big exit, Who would have thunk it?
I know. Right? He told me about that one. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Now his, you know,
Sorry
it's
about
interesting.
that one.
His experience as an angel investor has definitely been an influence on why we did this as a fund. Is you get in as an angel investor and you're it. Maybe you're and three
it.
or four others. You're it.
Yeah.
Right. Until that venture guy, that founder can find someone else.
Yeah.
You're on it for the whole time.
Yeah.
And if you want to, put in $500,000 and then get hit up again for another $500,000, and then another $500,000. And if you don't do that,
You're out.
You're out and it's gone,
It's
right?
gone,
yeah. So
Yeah. Well, I was so glad that happened because at least one of them did real well. And I think in your case, and I'm sure you know this, but my dad was in venture capital in Greenville in the 70s. He was the first one. And he told me when he did these funds that the key was just to have enough success where everyone made money, and they'd all just roll it.
Yeah.
You weren't going to take that money out.
Right.
Like, just keep it rolling, Scott. Do
Keep
it
it
again.
rolling.
And so
exactly.
hopefully you'll be able to do some of that too.
Yeah. I think part of it is we hear. I mean, I know a lot of people around the state that are exited founders that have done well, and they know what we're doing in Greenville. And I've heard from multiple of them that are like, well, when are you going to do it somewhere else?
Yeah.
Are you going to do another fund in Greenville? Like, no, we're just going to broaden the aperture a little bit. And part of it is, I do believe, and this is not just a let's do it because it's good for the community or good for the state. There is a sea change that's going on in technology right now from, kind of classic deterministic software, right? We talked about that earlier, to probabilistic AI software. It's a fruit basket turnover, which is going to be amazing opportunities that are coming in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
And there's no real geographic boundary on intelligence or will and determination and desire to do hard work.
Yeah.
We've got it in spades in our state.
Yeah.
So we're going to go try to tap into that.
That's great. That's great. Okay. So let me ask you a couple of other questions. Just a little bit of background questions for the peeps. But how did you decide? Because we've talked about this before. But how did you end up getting into the technology world?
Oh man, wow. So, I mean, my dad was an architect builder. My mom's a teacher, so I had no connection at all to anything technology. Of course, coming out of Clemson in late '80s, why would I land in tech?
Yeah.
I got really, really lucky in a bizarre sort of way. I had a teaching professor that turned me on to a book called The Next Economy. It wasn't even part of the curriculum. It was just a sidebar conversation. Yeah. And I read this thing, and it was the guy who had, interestingly enough, had founded a company called Smith & Hawken, which made gardening tools, right?
Yeah.
But this dude just laid out the transformational change of, I mean, in big air quotes, information as an industry.
Yeah.
And it struck me as very true, right? It felt like this is something, like in the Dustin Hoffman, The Graduate movie, where the friend of the family says, plastics, right? This guy said basically, information, young man.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we had a visit to a class from a Dun & Bradstreet salesperson or customer service person promoting jobs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Turns out it was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Right? I wanted to go to Atlanta, and I landed that job selling information services as
Dun &
my first
Bradstreet.
out of school. Right?
They were one of the great first kind of tech companies.
Yeah, credit services, and that little bit was my entree into understanding the power of information. We were, of course, carrying around these giant, compact, luggable computers with screens this big.
Right.
And there was no such thing as the internet. And I parlayed that into a role with a company called Harbinger, doing electronic data interchange, passing electronic documents back and forth. And that gave me a little bit of a head nod to what the internet was going to be.
Yeah.
And then came to Datastream in '95 when we were back in client server days trying to get to the internet. So I mean it was a twist and a turn of like, I don't know, plastics.
Yeah, plastics.
Good word at the time.
I know. But you were looking for something that was interesting. I mean, that's part of it. I tell young people all the time is, you got to decide what you want. At least, even if it's a general direction, try to make it as tight as possible. But like, I couldn't imagine me or you choosing something like, librarian or something.
Right.
It's like,
right.
I don't care what it pays, can't do it. Yeah. And so figure that out.
I think I always knew that I wanted to ride a wave, right? I mean, at the core, my career has been built on looking back and trying to see the waves that are coming and waiting for the wave, or catching a small wave and looking at the one next and going, I should have waited and caught that one. But being a surfer and riding the good waves is as important as how you execute inside there, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, from a what do you do inside that, I was not a great student. I was curious, but I was curious about what was going on at night, not curious about what the book said I needed to go do in the classroom. So sales was a great channel to take curiosity and go out and as you know, as a good salesperson, you have to be an insatiably curious in order to listen well. You have to be able to say, tell me more about that.
Yeah.
Why is it that way? Help me unlock that problem for you. And I think that's, just a characteristic of personality that led down that career path as well.
Yeah, it's fun. It's
fun.
It's fun for us anyway. That's why we do
exactly.
it.
Right.
On sales, tell me about sales and AI. What are you seeing? How is your team using AI, or your various ventures using AI to make sales better?
Yeah, I would say now, in so many ways, sales is 10x easier for salespeople than it used to be. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make closing a sale easier, but the process itself, because you can find out everything.
Much, yeah.
You can understand everything, and if you're not using ChatGPT or some
Grok
agent,
or something
to do the research about a company and have that tool advise you on what your best approach for what is it that you sell would be relevant to them. Give me a bullet point list of my best selling points for this company, for this role. You're missing out. You just, you got to use that. So I think what's occurring right now, and this is an interesting kind of sidebar on where where Salesforce is right now. Of Benioff is great at the marketing side, and adopting this agentic AI, and this term that's been bandied about recently is headless CRM, meaning you don't interact with it like you and I know of fields on forms on a screen, which is where YesFlow was, right? Is let's bury that and have this agent, that kind of operates on your behalf.
Yeah.
So where Benioff's taken that is everybody will have agents working for them, and how many agents can you operate at a time? And I think that sea change is going to happen in the next 12 to 36 months. The concept of every sales agent better be operating 10 to 20 agents on their behalf. So if you can't, as a salesperson, adapt to that and figure out how to operate agents that work for you, you're going to be screwed.
So that would be something like a sales AI, where making calls on your behalf?
Making calls on your behalf, constantly working on your behalf for outreach, constantly doing research on prospects and targets, constantly looking for changes in LinkedIn on people changing roles, and just giving you back information, right?
Well, I use copilotai.com, not the Microsoft Copilot. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
It's doing that. My targeted list, we've got 4 companies, so each one has a targeted list, and we have Navigator for each one of those companies. We've created our list, and it's pinging those people with these messages that I approved.
Yeah.
And then once they reply based on what they did, they just they start going back and forth.
The nudge.
The nudge until the person accepts
Yeah.
the LinkedIn thing, and then we go to work trying to schedule an appointment.
Right.
And then we have a discovery call.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot more work because I have a lot more calls than normal, but it's been delightful.
Well, and you dial it in, right? I mean, over time, you're already started on that.
Yeah.
So now it's just over the next 12 months, is just dial that, dial it in.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing what you're already doing, if you wait another 2 years to do that, you're like a neophyte.
Right.
You don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
So when I say it's easier in that there's so many more tools and resources available.
Yeah.
It's harder in that I do think you have to be a little bit more of an advanced thinker and kind of see where the ball's going to be to start with that now. Start using those tools now and having that idea in your mind of, if I'm going to leverage me, I need 10, 20, 30 agents working on my behalf in these different capacities. And that's not easy to get going. Once you get it going, I think it's fairly straightforward. But to start into that, and that might be, when you think about consulting, is how do you 10x the performance capabilities of an individual?
Yes.
You give them
Right.
capabilities.
We're going to set them
agents.
up with Copilot. We're going to set them up with Sales AI. We're going to set them up with, Navigator, Hunter, or whatever it is. Interesting. I'm going to do more of that then. I'm going to add more of these services.
Got to get those balls in the air, man. And this whole thing of using AI. 24 months from now, there won't be this idea of are you using AI?
Yeah.
Of course you are. It's just built-in intelligence to the software and tools that you already have, or another layer that you've now brought in.
Right.
The idea of it being AI is just we're in this kind of a moment in time where it's like cloud, right?
Yeah.
Of course it's freaking cloud. Why would it not be?
I'm going to use the cloud now.
Yeah. Right. As ridiculous as that sounds.
Yeah, or use your computer. We just always. Well, okay. I've got really, the last question is just to ask you if you have anything you want to say about Founderville or Fund2 or anything. People want to contact you to be an investor or employee or a founder, whatever. What would you like to say?
I mean, where we are today with Founderville, we're getting to a place where we're pretty much fully invested, right? So the number of companies we're looking at in Greenville specifically for that fund is we've kind of got our crop. So as we're looking to raise this next fund, we'll invest in Greenville, of course, and we'll also invest throughout the state.
Oh, good.
So we're always actively looking at new up-and-comers, people with ventures that fit our profile, and that profile for us is pretty tight. It's technology enabled, recurring revenue preferred, not manufacturing, right? And typically we're looking for a co-founder situation. We like having two.
Yeah.
And we like a product that's already got something built out that customers have vetted and have paid you $1 for. We don't have to see a certain, a lot of VCs will look for a minimum of $1 million or $2 million or $3 million in recurring. We don't care. We just want to see proof that there's a product that customers are paying something for. Yeah. And a lot of that, John, I think comes from a little bit of the background we shared is, back to the truthism that, nothing happens until the customer buys something. Nothing happens until a sale occurs. I believe that. You just don't know.
You don't know.
That validation. And if you don't have enough hustle as a founder entrepreneur to get something done enough that someone will pay you, we're not big believers in at least in our market. Now, Silicon Valley, other places where people will throw millions of dollars to build a product from scratch without with nothing. I get it. I understand. It's not our market.
It's a different game.
It's not the way we play. We look for hustle, where people have had the grit and determination to get something out of the ground, to get it out, fortitude and determination to get a customer to pay you. And that's one of those checkbox to go, okay, that proves you're the right kind of person. Now, let's see if we can help you, get better product market fit and maybe make that next sale and the next sale easier.
Yeah.
But show some of that grit and determination, and we love talking to those people.
Yeah. And they find you at founderville.com?
Founderville.vc.
VC.
Yep,
okay.
Founderville.vc.
Well, thank you very much, Scott.
Glad to
Appreciate
be
you
here,
coming
John.
back.
Thank you.
You're
Always
the man.
fun.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
You bet.
All right.
Thank you.